Jake went to work today, so I was going to tighten the hardware up and at least see if I need to go and get new hardware, because we messed up a few. But I can't find all the tools because it rained and we hurriedly threw everything back into the house. So for now, just to keep progress going, I'm going to start tearing apart the dash to get ready for all that electrical stuff. And hopefully I wind up finding all of the hardware, or all the tools that we need to be able to put the hardware together. But yeah, in the meantime, I'm just going to do the dash for now, and then possibly paint the rest of the frame if it dries.
What's up, YouTube? This is high quality. Check this out.
And scene. So taking this dash apart's really easy. Taking the gauge cluster out. There are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 screws to take the whole bezel out. I already took those out. So pulling the whole thing out is pretty simple. The tricky thing is the speedometer cable and all of the plugs in the back are not long enough quite to pull out all the way. So you have to take those off. I'm pretty sure my Speedo cable is already loose because it doesn't work. So that's out. That's the shortest part. So in general, the first thing you want to pull out is that Speedo cable. I'm not entirely sure what size that is, so you'll have to play with it. But yeah, it's really easy to take that out. And there's this plug that doesn't even feel like it was in. That's scary. Alright, so yeah, and what this is a 2-piece gauge. So you have the bezel and then the actual gauges themselves. I think that's 8mm. I'll go verify really quick, but there are 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Again, 8 little hex head screws. Again, I think they're 8mm, and they just come out really easily. Both the same size as a bit driver, fun fact. So I'm going to use that to take it out. The reason I'm taking the dash apart, I have a gauge cluster from Intellitronix that I need to install, and then I also got a dashboard mount speaker similar to OEM that I'll need to dash out to be able to wire in, as well as a Bluetooth amplifier instead of a radio, because I don't really care about having a radio right now. I just want to be able to hear my music. Yeah, I want to be able to get to everything so that I can make it look at least like I know what I'm doing. I may not, but I want to pretend. I've had this dash out probably 5 or 6 times just trying to figure out how to make it work, until I just decided it's just old and I don't care. There. The gauge cluster's off. And here's just the plain dash bezel. Now, what I'm probably going to do, I think I have to take this little plate off as well, because I think that the Intellitronix set, I don't think that those will be good to have. It's just gonna be pain because this is not clean, and I've seen people be able to clean up this plastic piece, but it's like in the plastic. It's like etched in, dirty. I'm trying to clean it, but we'll see if I'll be able to see. Hopefully the lights are bright enough on that Intellitronix piece that I'll be able to still see what's going on. Let's go. And taking this bezel off is the only way to really get to all of these switches as well. But like you just saw, it's very easy to get in here. Only 8 screws to pull that off. And then the nut for the speedo cable. Sorry, I'm not very good at talking and working at the same time. That's why Jake does all the work and I do all the talking. Yeah, since this speedo cable doesn't do anything, I don't know, we may just leave it back here, I haven't decided. That switch probably is no longer necessary, or not switch, this connector. Holy cow, can't think of words. Alright, so the last couple days I've been jumping around between gauge cluster stuff, like tearing the dash apart, getting the frame and the suspension prepped and everything to do all the stuff that we need to. But while Jake's at work, I'm gonna do stuff that I am capable of doing, aka not welding. So I'm gonna start working on this gauge cluster. So like I said, I think it was yesterday, I tore the dash apart. Next thing that I'm gonna be doing is pulling that speedometer cable. You can kind of see it right here. This guy right here, pulling that through the dash. I saw a video that someone else did with a different gauge cluster it creates a good hole that you can put a grommet through for all the wiring to go through the firewall, which is really smart. I don't remember who it was on YouTube. It was some Canadian guy doing a Dakota digital gauge cluster. I have Intellitronix, so it shouldn't be too much different. It all fits in the original bezel. Yeah, this is where the speedo cable comes out. It's just a big open hole in the firewall, and then all the wiring can come out for the oil pressure sensor and the tach and coolant temperature sensor. I'm trying to remember everything that was in it. I'll go show you the gauge cluster right now. This is the kit that I got. It's just a general kit that they have at Intellitronix online for this generation truck. And for the speedo sensor, I wound up getting a GPS sensor. But I'm pretty sure that it comes with, like, you can have an option of a wheel speed sensor and just a regular cable. But yeah, I wanted the GPS sensor because I didn't want to have to deal with wheel speed sensor when I change wheels, and the cable wouldn't work because the gear in my transmission is broken. Alright, so I'm using the original bezel that was in my truck. It's not the greatest looking, but I don't know. I haven't done the interior yet, so this probably won't even be the final thing. I'll probably end up selling this later and just doing like race car mode with just the circle gauges. I think that'll look cooler in there anyway, but for now I have this pretty decent digital gauge cluster. Seems pretty straightforward. Comes with this hardware with spacers in it. This is the glass. I gotta take the film off. Here's the gauge cluster. All the wiring stuff on the back. This will be interesting to figure out. So these thinner ones go between the actual cluster and the lens, and then the thicker ones go between the lens and the bezel. So these small ones versus the big ones. The small ones go on between the gauges and the lens. Should have put the lens up here too. We're gonna do one at a time. One thing I do think is a little weird, but it's probably fine, is that there's only 4 screws that hold this on. Granted, this is a lot smaller than the normal gauge cluster that was on the truck, but there's only 4 screws that hold this on, and the stock one had 8. Ow! Got my nipple. I wish I could time lapse life so that this is done. This would be easier if it was done. This just looks so clean. I got this, the backlight is blue as well, just like the halos. Keep the Ford people happy. Yeah. Well, hopefully I won't be able to see all that circuit board stuff. That would be kind of weird.
Ready?
Yeah.
Hot.
Alright, nothing turned on, so that's good.
Yep.
Wait, hang on, the halos are on.
Yeah, they are.
Are they? That means I wired them up right.
Nice.
Off,
Off.
on. Sick! So there is a light in the switch, but it doesn't seem like they put the switch together right. Just look at it. Oh. I mean, maybe at night it's a little translucent, but...
It's on his own cheek.
So halos work. Ready? Ready? Moment of truth. Something happening. Beeps.
That was the
Or the green light flash or whatever that is. Ready? I forgot all about that. Remember when I told you earlier, don't start it because this would be a geyser?
Yeah.
That happened. Hey, we're low on coolant. We don't have a light for that. There's only about 7 gallons underneath now. Smells like cancer.
So I've been home a couple days now. I figured I'll just use this clip for to talk about in each video that I make the stuff that was done, just kind of like a follow-up getting home. Yeah. So I'm super happy with at least the exterior of how this gauge cluster turned out. Behind the dash, it's kind of just a clusterfuck. We'll be restoring the truck, hopefully doing like a full frame-off restoration situation. And so we kind of just made the wiring work for now. But like I said, it's not clean, but none of the wiring was clean. Whoever did this truck before, you can definitely go fuck yourself because you don't know anything about anything. It is just, this truck was a fire hazard and a crash hazard the entire time. But without further ado, boom. I think it looks sick. I'm really happy with how it looks. We also put in, you can't really see it, but back there, you can kind of see the green light. There's a Bluetooth amp, and I just did an in-dash speaker as well. So I finally have, there you can see that pretty well. So there's some of the cobby wiring done, but I did an in-dash speaker and a Bluetooth amp, so I don't need a radio, and now I don't need to use a Bluetooth speaker anymore, and I can hear this radio super well. Driving down the highway with the windows down, I was bumping the whole way back. But we also removed the air conditioning and installed a USB port where the cigarette lighter used to be. And yeah, there she is. On top of everything else we did with this project over the last week, we also wired in my halos. That cheap switch is supposed to light up, but they definitely put it together wrong. It looks way better at night. Maybe I'll come back out. Oh, I don't need to come back out to do that because I've got pictures on my phone, but yeah, those look sick, especially at night. I got some good pictures of them that are on the social media. Yeah, now the headlights are finally completely done. We also figured out what was wrong with my turn signal. Apparently, even though it's like a two-prong, just a screw-on plug for the taillights, they are like they do have a direct polarity. So I wound up getting lucky with the passenger side and unlucky with the driver's side. I just had it flipped around, so the tail light on all the time was actually the brake light, which is why that one was way brighter. And then it couldn't do the turn signal because it didn't have the circuitry wasn't right for basically shutting one of them off and interrupting it for the turn signal. So, but everything works now, no problem. We didn't even have to put in like an LED relay or anything. So really happy with all of the stuff that I bought from CJ Pony Parts, Intellitronix, Dennis Carpenter, LMC Truck. I'm a little shaky about the LMC Truck speaker. I had to drill holes in the dash to put that in. It's supposed to be a direct fit type thing. And then Outcast AutoWorks with conjunction with Viking coilovers and Thor Brothers for the bars. Yeah, I'm a huge fan of pretty much everything that I put on this truck. Oh, and Oracle lighting. Yeah. Thanks.